What up, players? It's Warboss Tail up in this mud. Today we're going to be painting up our Tau Warrior up to this stage, base coats and shade. So hope you enjoy. The only colors we're really going to be using are, ooh, let me see if I can find them all again. Dryad Bark, and then Mornfang Brown, XV88, and Rakarth Flesh. Finally, Agrax Earthshade. But this is the standard we're going to be building up to, well, minus the helmet. Here is the standard we're going to be building up to by the end of hopefully part 2. Today we're just getting up to the washes, so as you can tell it's still kind of soggy, kind of wet. So we're going to let this guy dry off, and then we're going to come back for part 2. Don't forget to sign up for Project One Gaming's Facebook page and like that, and subscribe and get entered to win a chance to win a free Necron Army. And don't forget to use the barcode at the end of my video if you want a 20% off discount for any commission jobs throughout the month of July, which is today, Sunday, tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday, July 31st. So thanks for watching, everybody. Pew 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 pew. Hope you enjoy this video. Alright, players, let's get started painting this Tau Fire Warrior. We're going to start with Dryad Bark. This is going to be the color of all the fatigues. Base color, anyway. The first thing I did after building my model was that I primed it in black, you'll notice, rather than gray. And the reason I did that was because the model's rifle, pulse rifle, is going to be black, so I just thought I'd cut out that one step rather than having to paint it black later. Got my wet palette back here. So for most of my viewers out there, you might notice that you see me responding to comments on videos you've left like a month ago. And I'm trying to work my way towards the front. So I'm sorry if you've been leaving me responses or questions or anything for the newer videos that I've been doing. Just haven't really been getting to them. I'm trying to discipline myself to respond to all of my comments and stuff chronologically. Although if there is something that I feel should be responded to immediately, then I will do that. Most comments and stuff are just really cool, supportive, encouraging comments from, you know, from all of my friends out there, my subscribers, saying like, oh, good job, or that looks nice, or whatever. But if there's something that I feel like is a question or is kind of time sensitive, then I'll do my best to answer it. Okay, for the back, we're doing sleeves under the armor up here. And I believe that is it for up here. The gauntlets and the gloves are going to be a different color. So only the khakis. One thing, I don't know if it's ever bothered you guys, I'd like to hear your thoughts and your input on, is that I've kind of found it disappointing that the Tau is so humanoid, I guess. I mean, when you consider that you've got, like, the Tyranids are the only really alien looking race out there. I mean, the orcs just look like big, beefy, green humans. The Necrons are humanoid robots, mostly, just about, except for the spider ones. And the Tau, 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head right in the middle. So I always thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, now we're gonna get to the armor plates, XV88. Oh, I heard Games Day was just this past weekend. So, for everybody who was lucky enough to go to that, hope that was fun for you. I would love to make it out to a Games Day. One year. Okay, I've noticed with this that sometimes the paint, this XV88 as a base paint, is pretty thick. So it could get into your, in between the armor plates. And that's why I try to put it on the wet palette to thin it down as much as possible, but then you don't want it too thin towards where it almost becomes like transparent and it doesn't stick at all. So it's a delicate balance you want to strike, and even if it is too thick and it kind of obscures the lines between the armor plates, don't worry about it. Once it's dry, we can always reline the armor plates afterwards. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the intro to this video, if I'm going to remember to, but this color scheme is pretty similar to the Games Workshop one. It is just not exactly similar. My fluff for my Tau army is a little bit different, and I kind of don't like the way that Games Workshop's Tau goes towards a more orangey yellow. They're supposed to be from a desert world, right? Tau, their home world, Tau is a desert world, I think. And kind of think that their color scheme is a little bit too bright. Like if you look at their Tau light ochre color, it is just very orangey or yellow, I want to say. And yeah, mine is going to end up a little bit darker, or a little bit more desert-like, rather. So you can see how the paint is getting really thin and transparent. To fix that, all you really need to do is get more paint onto your palette. So I've been listening to some podcasts and also some videos out there on YouTube, and I found another pet peeve that I didn't realize that I had until just recently. And I don't know how many of you notice, but sometimes when I'm listening to a podcast, I'll hear someone, whoever's talking, usually a guy, because, you know, mostly dudes play this hobby, but whoever's talking will be explaining something, and their voice will start to kind of lift at the end of their sentences. Almost like they're asking a question or trying to get a, I don't know, affirmation. Oh my gosh, I just did it. So I noticed, because it's a pet peeve of mine, that I'm going to try to be very conscious about that, just in case people who listen to me think the same thing, you know? That, oh, I think Warboss Tay is cool, but then he has this thing with his voice that just is really annoying. Just to demonstrate the thing is, so say I'm talking about my Tau, and what happens is that the voice will start to lift at the end of their sentences. So they're talking about either fluff or gaming, and then their voice will kind of lift up at the end, like almost like they're asking a question. And oh boy, it's even worse when they're, you know, when they're supposed to be explaining something. So I mean, I'm totally making up the rules, but for example, so tile vehicles now, to deal with the hull points that 6th edition have put into effect, have to be very careful about where they're positioned them and use cover as much as possible. And oh, gives me the heebie-jeebies just doing it. So I gotta apologize, because if I do anything with my voice, if you're watching my videos because you like my content, which thank you very much, but I do something with my voice, or you know, my style or my delivery of my lines is just irking to you, then I am sorry. I apologize. I haven't taken any voiceover classes, although I would love to be a voice in a movie or a cartoon. How did I even get on that topic? I don't know, it's a Sunday, and, you know, nothing really going on. Not many people posting videos, plus it's the day after Games Day, so content is kind of dry. I've just been kind of going through old videos. This paint is just, if this were the old days, the good old days, I would probably be base coating in Temery Brown or something similar to that. Oh my gosh, I just went to see Beasts of the Southern Wild last night, which is it's a pretty cool movie. I stayed awake the whole time. I was afraid I might start dozing off, but okay, we're also going to be painting the gauntlets, like I said. And you've got these hand guards behind their gloves right here. You're going to be painting as well. Yeah, so if I do anything that irks you vocally, I want to say vocally because I don't really show my face in these videos, then let me know and I'll try to fix it. And I'll try not to be offended. What do you mean you don't like the way I talk? Okay, you'll also notice that I put a little bit of that XV88 on the top part over here of the rifle and down here by the barrel, and that's just more of an aesthetic thing to kind of unify my army. Alright, so the next stuff we're going to do is we're going to take some Mornfang Brown and we are going to paint, we're going to highlight up the fatigues. So yeah, Beasts of the Southern Wild was a hard movie to sit through, and it's not because it was boring. I didn't think it was boring. My girlfriend kept dozing off, but I thought it was okay. But it was hard to watch because the little girl that stars in it is so young. She's something like 6 years old, and at the time of filming she was 6 years old, and they put her in all these situations where you're like, oh my gosh, somebody please help this little girl. I recommend that. I also, over this past week, I saw the Batman movie, and I thought that was great. I think it was a nice, very nice wrap up to the Christopher Nolan universe Batman. And I've heard lots of speculation that they're gonna try to do an offshoot spin-off. Of a new kind of Batman universe. Maybe with definitely with the new director, new writer, new Batman. And that would be interesting. No spoilers, because I know some of you out there still haven't seen it yet. So how they would do that, I will leave that up to you to go watch the movie. I thought it was great though. That was just a great, fun movie. My my favorite character had to be Bane, and if only because the whole time, every time he opened his mouth to say anything, I kept thinking to myself, where the heck is this guy from? I think it mentions that in the beginning. In the beginning, there somewhere in Uzbekistan. I remember hearing very specifically later on that there was the CIA op in Uzbekistan, and that's where you hear Bane for the first time at the beginning of the movie. And even though he's got that crazy mask on, when he opens his mouth and he starts talking, it just sounds like a young, like a young Sean Connery to me. And I thought that was a lot of fun. Okay, so next we're going to take our Rakarth flesh, and we are going to paint some accent armor plates with this to make them a little bit different from each other. So this, most people would describe Tau as space communists because they fight for the greater good. They all fight for the same kind of ideal. And I want to say if there's more to it than that, it's because the ethereals kind of control everything through their hypnosis or their mind control or their pheromones. It's kind of explained in the Tau Codex. There's all this wild speculation. They don't write that many Black Library books about Tau, I just realized that just now. Huh, it's interesting. Considering that the first, third person or first person shooter video game released by Games Workshop, or released, I don't know if it was Games Workshop that released it, but released about the 40K universe was about a Tau Fire Warrior. Anyways, they all strive for the greater good. They all think together like a machine, and kind of like the Tyranids, but there's no selfishness, or there's no sense of the self is greater than the greater good. The greater good is what dictates their philosophy and their outlook. And for my little, I don't want to call them renegade faction because that denotes chaos and evil, but for my rogue faction that have been left to die without any ethereal supervision, they've started taking to individuality, and that extends into their armament and their decorations there. Also gives me a chance as a painter and a hobbyist to be creative with how I build and paint them. I despise just churning out similar looking units. It's the enemy of creativity is repetition. So I am painting these guys in a bunch of different, or with different markings on their armor. The only thing that unifies them is that they have the same helmet and shoulder guard painted white. So usually the middle shoulder pad and this section of the helmet. Except for the sergeant here, or their leader. I'm not really down with the Tau terminology yet, whose shoulder pad is, the bottom one is painted with this cream bone colored. But I'm going to be painting some Rackart flesh like on the leg armor. You could choose like the middle or any one of those, so I'm going to choose the bottom lowest one. I'm also going to choose the, let's see, on this side I'm going to choose one of the middle panels on the left leg. Not panels, plates, armor plates. Okay, and get back to Bane in a minute. What's the next thing we have to do? Okay, I believe that's it before the wash. So I'm just doing any last minute touch-ups of different things before we get into the wash. And for the wash, we're going to be using Agrax Earthshade, so you want to make sure you pull that out. Hey, I forgot one more thing, is that we're going to paint the gloves of our Fire Warrior in Rackart flesh. I believe I took this from Bruno Rizzo as well. They painted the gloves of his Fire Warriors in cream. And if not, then oh well. I think it looks cool. So there we go. Now we're going to get started with Agrax Earthshade as the wash, and we're just going to cover everything in it. Yeah, getting back to Bane, my favorite guy in the movie. And his Sean Connery accent. I just thought that was so cool. Agrax Earthshade, or painting the wash. I was glad that you could hear his voice too, rather than... It sounded so muffled. Remember when the teaser trailer first came out for the movie? It sounded so muffled. I'm Gotham's Reckoning. I like what they did with this character. So go see Batman, go see Beasts of the Southern Wild if you're into a more thoughtful, intellectual, post-apocalyptic movie. Really did. I mean, I felt like I was watching something grounded in the real world, but then stuff would happen, and then I was like, oh, this cannot possibly be Earth. If that makes sense. This could not be my Earth. Yeah. Ta-da!
There you have it, players. The first video in how to paint a Tau warrior in Warboss Tay's very unique desert theme. Stay tuned for video number 2, where we will be going into even more detail on how to do the highlights and how to make the armor look a little bit weathered as well. This is Sean Connery as Bane, signing out for today.